What is going on, guys? This is Gene Jensen, and it is time for another Friday Night Live. What is up? What is up? How's everybody doing? Seeing a bunch of you guys jumped on early and gotten into some conversations. I was enjoying reading that. What's going on? Oh, Tim Williams, how you doing? And Alan and Southeast Georgia kayak bass fishing. What is everybody up to? Goodness gracious. All right. So as we let people jump on here, talk about a few things real quick. The Knucklehead tournament is officially over at midnight tonight. So that would be the fourth month. I'll have all four members of my team. And it should be a whole lot of fun once we find out when the championship is. I'm sure Chad already knows. I just haven't talked to him for any length of time over the last couple of weeks. So we haven't really gotten into that. But the Knucklehead Championship should be sometime in October, and I'll talk more about that. But what it was, and we're going to do this annually, is we got a bunch of we've set up some tournaments on Fishing Chaos, $15 a pop. The winner of each month gets to join my fishing team, and we have a championship against other YouTubers and other influencers who did the same thing against their teams in October. So it's basically just going to be one big kayaking party is what it's going to be, and it's going to be a lot of fun. But anyway, so Dino, what's going on, brother? Dino's part of the Westbrook team, one of my brothers, and we had a really good Westbrook meeting last Sunday. It was awesome. It was awesome to go down there and meet some of the new guys and talk shop and get to know each other. It was really cool. So Westbrook is the paddle shop down in Atlanta that I'm part of. I'm part of their promotional team. So, well, there's another friend, Daryl McDonald. What's going on? So let's see what else is going on. All right. Podcast. I want to welcome everybody who's listening here on my podcast. You can find my podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. Basically, I take what we say here, I take this recording, and I move it over to that podcast so people can listen to it while they drive and do whatever they do. So it's pretty cool. It's actually pretty popular. I'm surprised at how many people watch it. I do listen to podcasts from time to time, but man, just seeing how many people watch it, it's pretty cool. So Dino says ICAST soon. Can't wait. Yeah, ICAST is coming up in 10 days we're leaving. 11 days it starts. So I'm pretty excited about that. I think this will be my 16th or 17th ICAST, something like that. I've been going to them for a long time. I love getting there and seeing a bunch of, meetings, getting to see some of my old friends and meeting new ones and stuff like that. I am looking for a few sponsorships this year, so I'm going to be a little bit more busier than I normally am. But mostly my meetings are mostly already set up, so it shouldn't be too bad. The monkey, since you donated $2 to Super Chat, I'll go ahead and answer your question before we jump into the Q&A stuff. It says, any tips for frogging from the bank? Just like I do with any bank fishing, or anytime I approach a bank or approach an area I want to fish on a bank, is I start down the bank first. I go shallow to deep, and I do what's called a fan cast, and I try to get it as close to thick cover as I possibly can. So, but I'm mostly going to focus on that real shallow water, because if a bass is shallow and active, it's going to hit top water. So, but man, it is hot today and stupid muggy. I thought it was like there was a fire outside the last 2 days, and it would, but you go outside and you wouldn't smell any smoke. But you could barely see the mountain behind my house, and I'm like, what is going on? And then I realized that humidity was 99%. Can't see squat, 99% humidity. So we were inhaling our water. It sucked. So I shot my July baits video today, sitting right here in this chair. I said, I want to go fishing, but I'm not. I'm just not. Just not feeling like it right now. So, but let's see. And then we'll let a few people jump on. We finish up all the talk. But Aiden has a good question. He says, hey, man, I noticed that on Facebook that you were putting new Lowrance units on your kayak, including their version of live view are not liking the Garmin. Are you not liking the Garmin live scope? Are you getting rid of the Garmins? I am getting rid of the Garmins. I love them. I absolutely love them. But the stuff that I wanted to do stuff about fish finders and things like that for a long time. But I know once I get started with one brand, I've got to stick with it. And I wanted to wait for a contract. And it's the business side of it. But that's the part of the industry that you really have to do something with a contract. Because especially if you're doing this for a living and need to feed your family. So I waited for that. What happened was Motor Guide acquired Lowrance, bought Lowrance, or the parent company of Motor Guide bought Lowrance. And so I waited for them to get their ducks in a row. It took about a year and a half. And I went ahead and bought the Garmins just so I had live scope and stuff like that while I was waiting for them to figure things out. And we finally signed a contract. So yes, the floor behind me is covered with boxes of Lowrance stuff, or empty boxes now. And I'm rigging up my kayak with all the stuff. So that's kind of the way it is. So, but no, nothing wrong with Garmin. Love Garmin. I'm never going to say a bad thing about them. It's been a really good unit. So, and I've got one guy who's already said he wanted to buy it, and I'm going to give him first offer, and then I'm going to put it online. So, oh goodness. Let's see. Jason, what now? He says, how about my lake making Bassmaster's top 100 list? Really? Sinclair? That's freaking awesome. Jason already knows this, but back in my day when I was fishing Sinclair 15 years ago, 20 years ago, it sucked. It was a horrible lake. I mean, if you caught one big one during the tournament, you were winning. You were going to win the tournament because it just didn't happen. And so, yeah, it's pretty cool to see that lake get the way it's gotten. That's pretty neat. So, but all right. So last but not least, guiding. So a lot of you guys are new on here, and you realize, and you don't know this, but I am guiding out of kayaks now the 1st through the 10th of each month, right down the road here at a lake called Heath Lake. It's a small public lake. It's only open the 1st through the 10th, and it's a trophy managed lake by the state. And it just gives me the opportunity to sit down with people, help work with their electronics, get them started understanding their electronics more, getting them started with kayak stuff. Then we go out, we try to catch some good fish, and I talk about how I find fish, and it's just a really good learning experience. Right now I'm averaging probably 2 or 3 a month, and I've got one on the 10th already booked, and so it's just a good time, and it's $300 a day. Once I get all of the Lowrance stuff in, I'm actually getting enough stuff to rig up a second boat, and I'll have a second boat for those of you who don't want to travel with your own boat. And you jump in one of my kayaks that's fully rigged with XI3 motor and Lowrance and stuff like that. But that's still about a couple, 2 or 3 weeks away. So it won't be July. It'll be August before that kayak is ready. So anyway, pretty cool. And you book it through Fishing Chaos. You go to fishingchaos.com or the app, look at their charter part of their website, and then find Fluke Master, or you can just search Fluke Master. So, and you'll find me. Goodness gracious. Another thing I offer is like online seminars. You can book it through there, and it's $100 for an online seminar. We usually do them in the evenings. And then I'm going to also do an electronics on the water deal as soon as I get everything set up. So anyway, that's that. Got that done. Ricky Jennings, man, thanks for the $5. He said, what's a good heavy braided line for bass fishing, but not too heavy? I like 40 pound, 20 and 30 or 20. I put on spinning rods. I'll go 40, 50 or 65. So, but 30 for me on a baitcaster, it tends to backlash too much. And I think it has more to do with the line diameter than anything. So 40 pound is probably about the minimum I'm going to put on a baitcaster. But, all right, let me catch my breath. Elizabeth Z's on board. Awesome. Daniel Watson, what's going on, man? He says, long-time viewer, first-time commenter, anyone have a yak that are willing to sell? I'm actually about to sell my my Bonafide pedal drive, my P127. I'm thinking a fair price is like $2,200 or $2,100, which is a really good price for that boat. Especially, I bet it's only been out 4 or 5 times. So. And I'm selling it just because I can't pedal like that. My hips won't let me. I injured my hip in the Army. And so pedaling like this really, really hurts after even just a short amount of time. So I just put it in the barn and let my kids use it a couple times, and then that's it. So, oh, let's see. What am I looking for? Best skipping lure, non-soft plastic. An Arky head jig. I can skip a chatterbait. I got a buddy that can skip an Alabama rig, but I don't even try it. You can rig a buzzbait to skip. Those are the ones that come off the top of my head. I can skip some frogs, like the 13 fishing. Where's it at? I thought I had it with me. Here it is. The trash panda. This one right here, not the popping one, but this one right here. Let me get my focus on this camera has sucked today. But anyway, this one right here has been really good. It's easy to skip just because the weight is internal. It's not on the butt. It's actually on the hook. So it skips a little bit better. Let's see. What else? Let me get a button back here real quick. There we go. Then what's the next question? Oh, my goodness. Stephen Walden. What's going on, man? How you doing, bro? Stefan's actually been on a Friday Night Live. He came and visited me one day and came in on it. We have to do that again, man. That was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. In your live scope video, you didn't talk about your battery. What does it take to run a unit all day? So you can get by with a 30 amp hour battery for most of the day. I run way too much power into my units, but I'm running all my cameras, 2 units, and the live scope at the same time. So I actually run a 60 amp hour, and I never have to worry about it going dead. But a 54 and a 30 probably would be what you need for one unit. I wouldn't go any less. So let's see. What's this? Josh Ward from Facebook says, let's talk about H20 clarity. Oh, H2O clarity. Water clarity. Do you consider 4 or 5 feet visibility clear or stained? You know, over the years of talking to guys, you kind of have to guess where they're from and what they're used to. If you come from a real muddy lake, you know, and where the visibility is on the average 6 inches or stuff, 4 to 5 feet is really clear for you. If you come from a lake that's super clear, 4 to 5 feet is real stained for you. But for me, for my rule of thumb, I consider 0 to 1 foot visibility, or 0 to 6 inches muddy, 6 inches to 1 foot as heavy stained, 1 foot to 3 foot as stained, and then 3 foot and deeper, fairly clear. And then you get any further than that, it's like super clear. So it's just, I've gotten to the point where I just kind of look at the water, look at the clarity, and I kind of pick my colors according to that, just from experience. But yeah, 4 to 5 feet for me is a light stain, is what I think it is, because I'm going to use baits that I use if I'm fishing clear water. So let's see. Oh yeah, Catch You Later Fish says Trophy Lake also has tag fish that you can turn in the tag and get up to $100. Catch a couple of them and it pays for the guide fee. Yes, it does. I've actually turned in about $150 worth of tags this year. So I got 2 more in my kayak that I need to turn in that I keep forgetting to. Let's see. Have you tried the Z-Man Minimax chatter bait? I fish a pressured lake, and I've caught a few good ones on that bait. Any recommendations on a trailer for that little bait? Yeah, I've been fishing one for over a year and a half now. When they first came out, I was down in Florida, and some buddies of mine who were sponsored by Z-Man had a few, so I snatched one from Corey Dreyer and fished it and loved it. And I've caught a ton of fish. Gunnersville, I've been tearing them up on Gunnersville every time I'm there with a mini max. Now the trailer I use is a Yamamoto. Dang it, what's their paddle tail? Zako, but the short or the small one. They have a Zako that's like a 2.8 inch or 3 inch or something. Anyway, it's their smaller Zaco, and it fits that thing perfectly. Actually, you got to trim the skirt about a quarter of an inch or a little bit, eighth of an inch to a quarter of an inch to get a full action out of that trailer. But yeah, that's what I've been using. I caught a giant on there when I was filming with Chad, one of his TV shows. You guys will see it when it comes out later on in the year. But 6.5 pounder. It was great, man. I was burning that son of a gun. So, what's going on, River Rat? Let's see. Josh, I've never fished St. Clair. I think I fished Saginaw Bay. I fished somewhere with my friends up there, but I don't know. It's been such a long time, I can't remember. Finally, somebody mentioned my new office. So this is like the third week I've been in here, but I moved from downstairs in the basement to up here to the what used to be Jordan's bedroom, because my 21-year-old Jake moved back in the house while he's in between getting out of welding school and going to work. And so, being 21, I didn't want him to, I wanted him to have his own entrance into the house. So we built a bedroom downstairs in the basement for him, so he can come and go as he pleases. So, and he does. He goes to the gym at about 2:00 in the morning every day. So he's a knucklehead, but that's what he is. But yeah, dude, I love this thing. I got all my coins from the Army. I got my flag clock, all kinds of stuff. I got this has been in my barn for a long time. It just never had room behind me on the wall, and I do now. So, and if you guys ever wonder what this picture is, that one right there, that's my dad. The last day we ever fished together, and then he came down with Parkinson's, and a few years later he died. He died about 5 years ago. So, but that was the last day I ever fished with my dad. It was funny. I was in the water. I had this really, it was like an 8-9 megapixel camera. It wasn't much back then. That's all there was. And I had it in my pocket, and something told me, turn around and take pictures of your dad. So I did. I stopped, got off side of the creek, and he's in his element. He's trout fishing, and it was just beautiful. It was a beautiful picture, and started snapping pictures of my dad. And I didn't know then, but I do know now that was the last day we ever fished together. So it's pretty cool to have that picture. Sean Coer. So I'm in my mid 40s. I finally bass fish. If you were going to visit another state to fish, where would it be? I'm in Ohio, and after 2 years, finally caught a 5-pounder. That's awesome for Ohio, dude. It really is. Right now, as hot as it is in the South, I really want to be on the Mississippi River up north. I want to be in La Crosse, Wisconsin. I want to be at Round Lake in Minnesota, or in Leech Lake in Minnesota. I want to be somewhere far north where it's nice and cool, and where the bass fishing is great. So in the wintertime, I want to be down in Florida. So it just depends on the time of the year. So do I do any catfishing? Not really on purpose. I know how to. I know how to find them. I'm really good at finding them on my electronics. But yeah, I focus mostly on bass just because that's my love and passion. But catfishing is good when I'm going and looking for dinner. So I'll go out, catch a few catfish, catch a few crappie, and take them home for dinner. So, Michael Wildman, what's going on, man? You too, bro. Have a good 4th. Have a good 4th. He works over at Bucks Island Marine in Gaston, Alabama. He's one of the salesmen, and used to do a lot of their social media stuff. So hold on a second. I just double tapped my mouse. There we go. Joe Nee, what's going on? He says, got me a new boat. You should come fish with me one day. We keep talking about it. I do need to. Caleb's buying my boat. So I do need to go up there. So yeah, dude, I'm definitely going to get up to chat to Chickamauga and go fishing with you. I'd love to see your new boat. What should I use in June for bank fishing at night around a thick grassy pond? Well, today's the last day of June, and I'm going to bust your balls about that. So I'm assuming you mean July. Around a thick grassy pond. First thing that pops into my head would be like a horny toad, a buzz frog, or soft plastic toad on a EWG extra wide gap hook is what I thought of. Something that buzzes across the surface would be a lot of fun, and it's not going to get hung up that much. So, that's a good one, Stefan. Best forgotten summertime lures. The one bait that comes to mind is more of a color soft plastic than it would be a forgotten summertime lure. You remember the old motor oil colors? They were clear, fairly clear. And the cool thing about them is they were really, really good deep water colors. If you were fishing 15, 16, even out to 25, 30 feet on clear lakes, for some reason, those worms were really, really good deep of that color. So the other one is the old French fries on the Carolina rig. That's another worm that used to be a great summer bait for everybody. So Greg Moser, do you use green pumpkin for more stained water and watermelon for clear water? Yes and no. I use green pumpkin for just about any color except for muddy water. Or if the water is the same color as the green pumpkin, I don't use it. And then watermelon, because it is a clearer bait, I use in clear water. So, but green pumpkins are really good all around color, like I said, except for super muddy water and so on. So, let's see. Preferred drop shot braid to fluoro line setup. I talked about that today when I shot the video for July baits, because one of the July baits is a drop shot. And so the way I always have my spinning rods rigged up is I have, especially the finesse rods that I'm really gonna need to be able to see the line. I'm using Seagar's Flash Green 20-pound test as a main line, and then I use an FG knot. And in super clear water, I'm tying 4, 6, 8-pound test fluorocarbon with an FG knot. And then usually my leaders are really long, at least double the length of the rod, sometimes more than that. With an FG knot, I don't worry too much about beating that knot up, so I can reel that knot into the reel itself and use it. So, but yeah, that's typically what I do. And I very seldom throw 10-pound test on it, except when I'm fishing around really heavy cover. And then I'm changing hooks and changing all kinds of stuff. So we just donated $5. Ace Camper, brother, thanks. Appreciate the $5, bro. That's awesome. You guys that donate, man, that's just awesome. It really does help. It doesn't seem like $5 helps, but it does, man. I really appreciate it. So, golfer dad, where's your Auburn poster? I promise you the first place that thing would end up is the trash can. So go Dogs. Maybe Auburn will be good again one day. Brad Pierce, I appreciate it, brother. He says, dude, thank you for all you do for fishing, for the fishing community. You're the man. That's awesome. You guys, and speaking of, and it just popped in my head, on the 12th, 13th, and 14th, just keep your eyes out on Instagram. And I might even do some YouTube shorts and that kind of stuff about ICAST. I try to do as much as I can at ICAST, but I usually don't get a whole lot. You guys don't watch it, but at least the people that watch my YouTube videos don't watch the videos I make at ICAST. Never have. And so I'm going to do a lot of short stuff that is just really, really fun and cool. Maybe get you to meet some of the pros and stuff for a little short 1-minute takes and things like that. I don't know. I'm thinking about it out loud, but we'll see what happens. Oh, heading into the dog days of summer, what's your go-to for this period? My go-to is a Texas rig 11-inch, 10, 11-inch worm is what I typically do. And I'm dragging it so slow you could probably cook dinner while I'm, with one cast. So I'm really, really fishing it super slow. My other one is a jig. I'll go between the two. And then for a reaction bait, I'm still throwing a chatterbait or a crankbait. So, Mike Sheehan, he says, so here's a question. How would you fish high, fast moving water river for both smallmouth and largemouth? I guess the same way that I would fish any river or any current. I'm going to look for those eddies. I'm going to look for those current seams and things like that. And I'm going to fish them, but I'm going to fish the super shallow ones. And then if I see some slack water, I'm going to fish shallow in the slack water. That muddy water will make them move up shallow so they can see a little bit better, especially smallmouth, because they're more sight hunters than largemouth. But largemouth are pretty high. Being able to see what they're going after is pretty high on their priority list too. So that's what I'm gonna do. Is I'm gonna move up super shallow. I'm gonna fish the shallow seams, and my favorite thing is just to fish the riverbank. Right there along the bank of the river, just throw a spinner bait or a square bill or something super, super shallow up there. They tend to get packed up against the side of the riverbank when that happens. So I hate fishing muddy water in the river, but I do catch them when it happens. But like I said, I catch them mostly up against the riverbank and those shallow those water seams. So Brian Brokaw, ICAST ? ICAST is basically the World Fishing Trade Show. It's only open to media companies that make the baits and sell the baits, and then buyers like tackle shop owners and Walmart and Academy Sports and Bass Pro Shops. So it's not open to the public. It's down in Orlando, and it's a place where they introduce all the new baits and all the new equipment and tackle and all kinds of stuff. Not so much boats and stuff like that. Kayaks are there. Bonafide's going to show a new boat coming out, and then Yak-Tech's got a bunch of things, and then I'm going to be bouncing around between Seagar and a whole bunch of other places. So Peter Ross, you still running the SS-127? Yes, sir, I am. Let's see. I'm going to catch my breath while I'm reading a few of these comments. Thanks, Mike. Mike says, have a great 4th, and thank you for your service. So we have this holiday to celebrate. Oh, that's funny, man. Mike's the one that made that right there. So I really appreciate him. That is the coolest stinking sign I've got. I don't care what you say. Hey, I appreciate these lives. My buddy is taking me canoeing on my favorite pond tomorrow. I've previously only bank fished. If you could only take 2 combos with you, what are they and what is tied on? A spinning rod. I don't know what your pond has got in it, but I almost always, when I fish ponds, have a Ned rig. And then another rod. That spinning rod's going to be like a medium light or light action. I'm really not picky with a Ned rig. And then the other spinning rod or baitcaster is going to be a medium or medium heavy. And it's going to have a spinner bait on it if I had to pick. So a bait that I can fish on the bottom and fish slow, or even reel a little bit, and a bait that I can move around a lot and cover a lot of water. But that Ned rig, what I want you to try tomorrow is when you get into an area that has like a drop or has an edge of a grass line, so the grass is underwater, but then it drops off and disappears and there's no more grass. Cast that Ned rig out, let it sink to the bottom, and then just slowly start reeling it back in without moving your rod tip. That's all you got to do. Just slowly reel it back in. And what it does is it gets it down to the bottom, and most ponds have silt in the bottom, so you don't want it to sink into the silt. And as you start to reel it really slow, it just kind of goes right above that silt. You'll catch them. I promise. Any thoughts on putting live scope or Lowrance version on your kayak setup? I've been thinking about putting it on my new canoe. I've had Garmin live scope on my kayak for almost, I guess it's probably been 19, 20 months. It's been a long time, and I love it. I've got, crap, I can't reach it. This is what's going on in my kayak as soon as I get all the parts and pieces. And then I've got their active target on the floor too. I got my floor's covered with Lowrance stuff, getting ready to rig up a kayak. So I've ordered all my Yak Attack stuff and things like that I need to be able to rig it up. So it's gonna be pretty cool. But I love it. It's worth it. I know some people think it's cheating, but it's not. To me, it's just fun fishing. So. Oh, Matthew, dude, I wonder how old you are. He goes, I used to throw motor oil and tequila sunrise 10-inch power bait worms. That's awesome. Actually, Tequila Sunrise Zoom on monsters. I go through about 10 or 12 bags a year during the summertime. So that's still my favorite color. Let's see. Josh says, I feel like everyone I see on my lake is finesse fishing. Am I making a mistake by not following along? I would give it a try. I mean, if they're being successful, if they're not, I never assume that somebody in another boat is catching fish and I'm not. I never cared whether they're catching fish or not. I see them, I'm like, cool, they're on a point, or I use them to find spots sometimes, like they're on a point or a drop. And if I know enough about the lake, I can tell I know what they're fishing. But yeah, I never really worry about whether they're catching fish or not. I think it's too much to worry about. Jennifer Ellis, what's going on? She goes, hey, Gene, happy early Independence Day question. What are your thoughts about fishing during a full moon? Is it good, bad, or not, or no different? I've had good days with a full moon. And I've had bad days with a full moon. I don't think about it. I really don't until maybe after the fact. I'm trying to find an excuse as to why I didn't catch fish. But yeah, Chad Hoover gets all into the moon phases and the feed times and things like that. And there is something to that. I've tested it, but I don't try to find a reason not to fish, if that makes sense. I'm a believer that you can't catch a fish unless your line's wet. And so I go whenever. What's the best chatterbait rod for under $100? I'm sponsored by 13, so I'm going to go to 13's website and I'm going to look at their rods real quick. Matter of fact, I will share my screen with you. Which one is it? It's this one. Can't see everything. There we go. All right, so the new rod coming out by the way, is the Meta's the newest rod that's already out, and then the one they're announcing at ICAST is the new Muse. But anyway, we go to rods. Let's see if the Fate Black has the rod. So for one under $100, hold on a second. So one under $100, so $80 are what these are. I would look at like the medium heavy extra fast, or the medium heavy fast is what I would look for. Like this one right here, the 6.7. But if you're looking for any brand or stuff like that, I would definitely look for a medium heavy moderate that's got a little bit more tip to it. The one that I use is about $120, $130. But yeah, you can definitely find one for under $100. But a lot of times those medium heavy moderates are a little bit too flimsy, so I'll bump up to like a 7'3" medium heavy fast. So let's see who donated $10. Oh, Michael Moon, what's going on, brother? What's up? Thanks for the $10, man. He goes, have an excellent 4th of July. Go Navy, beat Army. Oh yeah, and War Eagle. But at least we can agree with that we aren't Air Force. Good grief. Oh, anyway. So Dylan says, I've learned to catch numbers, but seem to struggle with to get 4+ pounders and on a more consistent basis. Even when upsized baits, still catch 14 inchers, and I'm on Gunnersville. Slow down. Either fish super, super fast. So I'll give you, for instance, let's talk super fast. I was on Gunnersville month before last, maybe it was early last month, filming with Chad, and the wind started blowing in the evening, and I knew the fish were up shallow, and I'd been fishing a chatterbait all day, and I was like, man, I really want to catch a big one. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna burn this son of a gun. So I changed from a 3/8 to a 1/2 ounce chatterbait, and I just started burning it back to the boat. And on the 4th or 5th cast, I caught a 2 or 3 pounder, and then a few casts after that caught a 6+. So you can either fish super fast when the conditions are aggressive, like a lot of wind or a lot of current or that kind of stuff, or you can fish super slow by dragging something through the grass. On Gunnersville, I'd be throwing a big worm on a lightweight Texas rig for like an 1/8 ounce Texas rig, just dragging it through that grass because it's not going to get hung up with that light bait, and fish the break lines or where it falls down into deeper water. So, all right, I'm gonna jump ahead just a little bit. Caleb Crunk, he's one of the winners of the Knucklehead tournament. He said, Gene, when are we going to start talking about the tournament now that the full team is assembled? Caleb, I will talk about it. I gotta learn some more information from Chad about the dates and the times and when things like that are going to happen, and stuff like that before we do. But yeah, dude, it's not going to be long. I'm going to get a hold of all you guys probably after ICAST, so late, last half of July, and we'll get everything together. So it's cool that everybody lives real close to each other. So it's going to be fun to it's going to be easy for us to get together. Let's see. Booth. I'm reading something real quick. It says booth 636. I missed something about that. So anyway, Ocoee Bassmaster, get a hold of me offline. We'll talk a little bit about. I don't know what it is because I missed your other comment. Real Lion Productions, love your videos. Do you ever get backlash or with light crankbaits? If not, what's the secret? Yeah, I do. Don't cast them into the wind. You'll get one every time. The one thing about light crankbaits or anything that puts a little bit of slack in your spool is about every 1 out of 20, 15 to 20 cast, even if you're an expert, you're going to get a backlash. You just got to remember to kind of, keep your line a little bit tight around your spool. So, where's the best place to get electrical wiring for lights and depth finders installed for a kayak if you're not good at that stuff around Chattanooga? Weeks, I'm going to tell you, it's worth a drive to go to Atlanta and have Fletch do it at Westbrook, or Fletch or Mikey. Fletch has been rigging kayaks for 15 years, 20 years, a long time. He's probably been rigging longer than anybody else. Take it down there, let him and Mikey jump on it and rig it up, and they'll do it right, and you won't have any issues with it. I wouldn't trust me. I know enough. I can rig my own kayaks, but I always have to re-rig and mainly connections and things like that. I tend to not squeeze tight enough and have all the right equipment. So yeah, Westbrook Supply Company down in Atlanta. It is worth the drive if you're in Chattanooga. So let's see. Jonathan Delaney says, when you set it up, could you make a video on how your live scope is? Oh yeah, I'm definitely going to. He says, I want to set mine up, but get lost on how to set up the transducer and black box. Your XI3 video helped me out so much. Sure. I'm definitely going to do that. I'm going to do several different videos about that. One to satisfy contract obligations, but two is I really want you guys to see. I have a really cool way of setting my live scope up or my active target up to where it is portable, so I can pull it out of this kayak, put it in another kayak, or loan it to somebody to look at, that kind of stuff. So I really want to show you guys that. It's pretty cool. There's a little bit of testing I got to do because it's a different system and stuff like that, but definitely want to show you guys that. So let's see. Brooke Wanks, what time are you going to be at Collinsville tomorrow? That's one thing I did forget about talking about. Brooke, I'm going to be at Collinsville first thing in the morning. We're selling a whole bunch of my extra tackle and rods for the second week in Collinsville tomorrow morning. We're usually there from when they first opens till 1:00, and then we go home. So I got a bunch of rods, got a bunch of 13 soft plastics, a lot of striking crankbaits, and odds and ends, a lot of old ram mount stuff for kayaks, an old black pack that's still got my logo and stuff on it. And I can't remember we got a bunch of stuff though. Definitely. I just need to get some stuff out of my barn to make room for more. Jackhammer is the best chatterbait, or is that just hype? I think it's the best chatterbait. I really do. That's why I own too many. So let's see. William Robinson says, Princeton, Texas here. Just want to say thank you for what you do. I fought my first bass about a month ago. That's awesome, dude. That's awesome. I can barely. I think I was 3 years old when I caught my first bass. It was a red eye bass out of a creek in the mountains of Virginia. I could probably take you to that spot, but I cannot remember the fight. I just remember being scared of it. So, how's the Lawrence grass coming along, Chris? They're still sitting on the floor behind me. I'm waiting on mounting hardware and things like that before I get them all put up. But I do have a black pack. The dry pot, I've got holes and drilled into it with Yak Attack through hole wiring kits and that kind of stuff already mounted on there. Just waiting on Yak Attack stuff, which probably isn't going to get in the mail until Wednesday of next week. So I'm probably not going to get it till the week after. So, let's see. Yeah, Brooke, come by and say hi. That'd be awesome. Just found an old package of the 10-inch power worms in motor oil. Worms going through my stuff 3 days ago. Again, I apologize. I'm about 8 minutes behind. That's okay. I'm way behind with my comments. That's for sure. And I'm gonna back up and hit a few more. Andrew Watson, ever heard of Jake or Jig? The ones I picked up from the local tackle shop are skirtless, unlike what I see on Google. Think I may have found a lure without a YouTube video. It has barb keeper and text poses. Huh. No, I've never heard of them. Probably something that you put a spinnerbait or a paddle tail worm or paddle tail swim bait on. Let's see. Alan Fowler, I can catch bass all day from farm ponds, but usually zero on big bodies of water, 10 or more acres. Big water intimidates me. Any tips help me overcome that? Yeah, pick a section of the lake that's got a pocket or two and some points, and maybe some grass if the lake's got grass, or lay downs, wood set shallow cover and stuff like that, and fish it like you do a small pond. Just kind of learn that little area and fish it, and you'll find the fish. Don't look at it as a big lake. Look at it as a whole bunch of little bitty lakes, and you're going to pick an area to fish, and then go with that. And now, if that area doesn't have bait fish in it, go find you another small area, because you've got to have the food's got to be there, or the bass aren't going to be there. So, let's see. Is color on a buzzbait important? Not to the detail. I like white, black, green pumpkin. And the same thing with the frogs. I really don't pay much attention, except for I need a white one, a black one, or a green pumpkin one. And so for top water, that's all I ever throw are those three. Mostly white. Really, probably 80% of the time I'm throwing white. So Brandon Bonnell, he says, hey, Gene, love your content. He says, I love your content, Gene. What's your favorite square bill? My favorite square bill, I throw a KVD 1.5 and a 2.0 a lot, mainly because I know the characteristics really well. been fishing them for a lot of years, but I'm a fan of the 6-cent square bills, all of them. Those are the only ones I really throw, to be honest with you. You know, a 13 fishing jabberjaw is considered a square bill that sounds like a chatterbait. I throw it a lot. So, any spots have tournaments still going for the knuckleheads? Yes, I would look at. I know Gramps has still got a month or two. I don't know who else. Clay Guida is one of them. So Clay the Carpenter from UFC. I think he's still got a month or two left. And then I think you have to look. But mine are done. Mine and Chad's are done. We started a month earlier than most everybody else. So, is the Lowrance Hook 2 4X with GPS the cheap one good to start with a kayak, new to kayak, and never had to fish finder? It's a really good first fish finder. It really is. But I would recommend you get one that has a map. Has mapping on it. Doesn't have to have an excellent mapping, but you need to have some mapping, because that's really a huge part of being able to use a fish finder. Is you use a map and a fish finder in conjunction with each other, and you'll be heading in the right direction for sure. Now, when I do my fish finder videos, I'm really going to focus a lot on just the standard views. I'm not going to do a whole lot of, and I'll do some, some with active target and that kind of stuff, but I really want to focus on what people will see with every type of fish finder. And maybe once I get these things going and Lowrance really loves what I'm doing, maybe they'll start sending me these lesser expensive fish finders that I can drop on my kayak and do videos and that kind of stuff. So that'd be nice. Wow. Robin Bittner, he says, thank you for doing what you do. I'm just getting started at 71 years old. That's awesome, man. That is real awesome. Well, sir, welcome. That's cool. Can I use a 7'3" medium heavy topwater frog? If so, what line? I would still throw 50-pound braid on it. I would. You're just going to have to understand that you're going to have a little bit more flex in that rod, and you're really going to have to set the hook hard and hold tension on it, because it's gonna not have as much power as a heavy would to get those thick hooks in there. What did I do with that frog? I think I put it up. But the hooks on a topwater frog are pretty thick, is the reason. And usually they're digging into the roof of that bass's mouth, and the roof of the bass's mouth is like trying to drive a hook through shoe leather. And so that's why we always say use a heavy rod. Oh, let's see. ATL Clutch. He says, I know I'm late, been busy watching the Braves murder the Marlins as usual. Man, I looked at tickets. I was going to do a last minute tickets to go to the Marlins game. Dude, they were sold out like 3 days ago. And that was like the cheap seats were sold out. It was crazy. Or all the seats were sold out, really. The last ones that sold out were just lousy seats anyway. So, this is an awesome question. Sean Kohler asks, what's the difference physically between casting rod and spinning rod? I don't have a spinning rod with me. So for me, it's performance. A spinning rod is really, really good for light line techniques, mainly for the couple of reasons. They're easier to cast with light line, but the main reason is when you're fighting a big fish on light line. What happens with a baitcaster? See if I can do this without hitting the. I don't think I can. No, I'm not, because I've got a ceiling fan on right up there, and I'm gonna hit the ceiling fan. With a baitcaster, the very tip of the baitcaster, the guide, is on the top of the blank. And when you're fighting a fish, the tip of your rod actually rotates 180 degrees, and it torques your rod. And a baitcaster, it can do that because it's a little bit beefier rod. It doesn't have that real skinny tip. If you were to take the tip top guide on a spinning rod, like a medium light, and a light action spinning rod, and if you rotate that guide up to the top, and you're fighting a big fish, I promise you that rod is going to break. I did it the other day when I torqued a rod, and I'm not going to explain how that happened. But anyway, so I'm telling you, that's what's really good about a spinning rod is the fact that you can fight heavy, big fish with really, really light line and still be able to get them in without breaking your rod. But the downside to a spinning rod compared to a baitcaster is the number of casts that I can get during the day. It takes a long time between casts on a spinning rod. You know, you have to grab it and flip the bail and then get ready to cast it. With a baitcaster, I can get 3 times more casts in than I can with a spinning rod if I'm fishing it all day. So more cast equals more fish, and I have more control over the line going out, and accuracy increases tremendously with a baitcaster. And that's the give and take. So, and the only thing with the baitcaster is you can't fish light line. Now, I am testing the new finesse bait casting setups and stuff like that, but I'm not going to get into that right now. So it's a whole different brand. I'm not sponsored by them, but you know, we'll talk about it when I get everything set up. I haven't caught a fish with it yet. That's the reason. So I'm still fishing it though. I got a drop shot tried on today. So have I ever fished Lake Fork in Texas, fishing a tournament there in September? Yes, I have. And I always break something. I fished it many, many times. I either break a trolling motor or a motor. I had my Torpedo. I broke the Torpedo prop off the last time I fished it. And yeah, but I love it. It's great. Got great big fish in it. So, but I've never fished it in September. Here's somebody that caught the Bassmeister caught a 4.5 pounder on a Spro Frog yesterday. That's awesome, man. Congratulations. Oh, big red bass. I totally forgot about that. He said, Gene, did you get that grill figured out? Still got 10 fingers and toes. House still standing. Yes, it is. It is. So if you guys that don't know, I love to barbecue. I mean, not like northern barbecue. I'm talking low, slow, you know, pork and chicken. Anyway, that's one of the things I love to do. So, do you mess with larger paddle tail swim baits like mag drafts and the like? I do when I'm pre-fishing. I love big mag drafts and big paddle tails that they'll draw fish out of cover. You know, the big fish, so I can see them, and I'm not necessarily looking to catch them. I just want to see if they're in the area, so I know that's a good area to come back during the tournament and catch some. So. Doug Phillips, have you ever fished Hard Labor Creek Reservoir? Yes, I have. I love that place. It's going to be a trophy lake very, very soon. I know you guys are already catching big ones, but I'm talking about where you just go and hammer big ones all the time, like what Varna used to be. Yeah, that's what I really think that Hard Labor Creek. I've actually won a tournament on Hard Labor Creek, and it's a great lake. It is losing its underwater trees, though. They're rotting out, but that's okay. It's going to be a good offshore lake, too. JW Blunt says, being new to kayak fishing, I have been having trouble with the length of my rod, but are the same I use in my bass boat, getting caught up in my life jacket and as well as my belly. Any advice? I have that same problem. There are some kayak rods out there that have shorter butts. You just lose leverage. And I have some of the 13 fishing kayak ones, the Omen kayak rods. So the trying to think of when I do it the most. I have one rod that I switch hands a lot, and I'm always getting it caught up in my life jacket. I can't remember what I'm doing with it. But the one thing that I would recommend is get a life jacket that has a little bit thinner. I don't know what your life jacket is. I use a NRS Chinook, and it's a really good one. I still get caught every once in a while, but I don't seem to get caught very much. And then you'll also, over time, you'll learn to push the rod out a little bit when you're switching hands to get your rod around there. But I wouldn't say go out and buy all new rods just because of that. You can adjust yourself and your habits and stuff to get it right. You know, it's just going to take some time. So, Other thing is get your life jacket a little bit tight. Keep it snug. Don't get it really, really loose. Even the heat of the summer, just have it snug. So, Big Red Bass, he says, I'll give up my latest secret bait. I don't know what it is about the net bait dagger, but that thing flat out catches them. You're welcome. Dude, I haven't paid much attention to net bait over the years. I don't know why. It used to be my go-to jig trailer. I just haven't done too much with it. So Justin 540, what's going on, man? He says, sorry I'm late to joining, but glad to be back. Be black. Caught me a 5-pounder on Monday using a 6-inch Zoom Lizard. I was pumped. Thank you for your videos. You've taught me a lot. I love that Texas rig. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Add a rattle strap. I saw you joined a little while ago. So what's the best way to fish water that gets dirty overnight? The wind here has been making the water chocolate milk. Whew. I usually, there's two things that pop into my head. I usually try to find the clearest water when that happens, because the bass are going to move into that clearest water, because that stuff that stirs up, they don't like to try to breathe through it. And so they're going to try to go find the clearest water. But don't think that mud goes all the way to the bottom. A lot of times when it's kicked up by current and wind and stuff like that, it's only on the top, and underneath is pretty clear, and those bass will get in underneath. Around here, I always look for gizzard shad that are swimming along the edge of that mud line. If there's gizzard shad swimming along the edge, it tells me that there's space underneath that's clearer water. Whew, I got some heartburn. I made some cucumber, onion, and tomato salad with some balsamic vinaigrette tonight, and it got my heartburn going, but sure was good. Everything but the onion and the vinegar came out of my garden. So let's see. Ashton Evans. Are fish still on shallow banks early in the morning or deep all day? In the morning, they'll be shallow on, like, what I always look for is shallow on points, up against the bank where the point comes up to the bank, that kind of stuff. And then they'll move out deep when the sun comes up and it starts to get hot. Or if there's shallow grass, they're going to be in that shallow grass. So as long as that grass is green, they're going to be in it. Let's see. J Mac, he says, you ever take a spin caster reel and put on a stronger rod for skipping? Nope. I hate spin casters. The biggest thing I hate about spin casters is, and we used to guide with some of the best ones on the planet back when I used to guide that little private resort in North Carolina. But I don't like them because you never can tell if they're having issues or not. If there's line messed up in them, you never can see. And so it gets to be the issue gets to be worse and worse and worse. And by the time you realize there's something wrong, it's catastrophic. And you got to throw it in the bottom of the boat and grab a new one. So that's why I don't like them. And then for kids, it just gets frustrating for them. And, when I take my kids fishing, I leave all my rods at home. I want to watch them and watch the reels. And as I see the issues happening, I try to stop it so it won't be so frustrating for them. Let's see. Might not be bass related, but what is a good starter North Georgia trout ultralight setup? I honestly don't like an ultralight for trout. I like a medium light or a light. Actually, I like a light more than I like a medium light. I don't like an ultralight just because I just never feel like I can get a good enough fight if I get them in that real thick current and stuff like that. Ultralight's fun and all, but I don't know. I just have always done really good with a light rod. So a light spinning rod, a 2000 series or a 1500 size spool, and you're good to go. And I'll still use fluorocarbon to a long or a braid to a fluorocarbon leader. So. Got a little sun today. Yeah, I was out in my garden a lot today. And I've got this issue in the summertime when it gets hot and I sweat a lot, where I break out real bad right here. And I wash my face 2-3 times a day and I still break out. So it sucks. Let's see. What's your brake settings on a baitcaster? So with 13 and with any baitcaster, I like my centrifugal brakes. I always set them to half, 50%. If they've got 6 brake pads, I open them up, 3 of them up in a star pattern. Like with 13, they've got a dial on them, and I'll dial it to 3 or 4, depending. Usually 3 to start with. That's usually how I set those brakes. And then the cast control knob, I'll set it to where I'll tighten it up, and then reel the bait up to the end of the rod, and then let the bait I'll loosen it up and let the bait fall. And as it starts to fall, if it falls about that fast, I'm good. Any faster than that, I'll tighten up the cast control knob. That's for sure. So William Knowles, man, thanks for the $5. He said, I challenged my buddy to kayak fishing, but my kayak is bright orange. Am I screwed? No, you're not. You're not. Don't worry too much about the color. Actually, bright orange is good because other boats can see you if you're on a water that has power boats and that kind of stuff. So, oh, Musgrove, he says, I almost went fishing at Caddo today. Wife talked me out of it. Good, you stinking knucklehead. Golly. If y'all don't know this, Musgrove got his appendix out yesterday while he was driving home to Georgia from California. He had appendicitis and had to stop and get his appendix out. Then he decides he's going to stop at Caddo Lake and go fishing. But I'm so glad that your lovely wife, who's a lot smarter than you, talked you out of it. He's also a good friend of mine. So, let's see. Josh Ward, that's funny. Elizabeth says, OMG, sounds delicious. Add feta cheese and Kalamata olives next time. My wife does not like olives, and she probably won't eat this either because she isn't too fond of vinegar. But I've got some. I don't have any feta, or I would have thrown some in there. I might throw some blue cheese in there because I like that sneaky stuff. So let's see. Oh, that's Rattlestrap answering somebody else's question. What's your go-to technique when the water is high and the water is muddy in a river? We already answered that one. All right. Let's see. Fishing with Grant says orange is the best color for kayaks. Goodness. Oh, we're already an hour into this. Hey, guys, we're going to go ahead and end it. I got to get up early in the morning, go to Collinsville and sell some rods and reels. If you guys are in the northern Alabama area, come on over to Collinsville. It's one of the best flea markets there is. I love going there. My wife and I are going to have a booth selling a bunch of rods, a bunch of tackle, things that are just extra lying around in my tackle shop, and trying to get, reduce my inventory a little bit. So, what else is going on? Be sure to check out my guide service on Fishing Chaos, and we'll try to jump on this next Friday. And then the Friday after that, we won't, because I'll be at ICAST. So like I always say, be sure to introduce somebody to fishing. Oh, thanks for joining us, guys. I really do appreciate it. I love you guys. I appreciate everything you do and all your comments. So y'all take it easy. Like I always say, be sure to introduce somebody to fishing. Introduce them to my channel. Let me help you teach them how to fish. More importantly, get out on the water. Go out and catch some fish and have a great day. We'll see you.